Hello and welcome to Film Seizure. We are in week 4 of our baseball month. As you'll remember, we were successful in getting baseball out of its labor negotiations and back onto the field. So they've been playing for about a month now. However, we're, actually 3 or 4 weeks before that. Anyway, this week...
The point is you need to all thank us.
Yes, thank us. This week we're watching Chico's Bail Bonds Bears. I mean, the Bad News Bears.
That cracked
from
every time.
From 1976. Probably, yeah. I guess before I get into that, I should say hello to Jason and Jeff. Jason, say hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And Jeff, say hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? You guys doing good? I'm feeling good about this. This nice, light, easy breezy movie to finish things out this month. It's kind of nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some themes to it.
Oh, sure, but it's mostly easy breezy. You can watch it looking for the themes, or you can just sit back and laugh at the little kids being
cussing.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
it does get a little difficult to watch in the third act, and when we get there, I'll tell you why.
Well, there is one big overarching theme that does conclude this movie that is never fun. I called the third act "It's all fun and games" until Vic Morrow slaps a kid.
yeah, that's it's not some fun even before that, but yeah, that's the crescendo for sure.
Yeah,
of it not being super fun right now. Yeah.
For the most part, I agree. 2/3 of this movie is very fun, and then it gets kind of heavy in the third act a little bit.
There is a dark undertone to what's going on here, and it sets it up well, I will say, because you kind of get right from when you're introduced to Walter Matthau to who he supposedly is. That in a way I could see, it is not coming out of nowhere that things get a little darker.
Yeah, very, very right off the bat. And this movie is very good at this, actually, in giving you all you need to know about a character in like 30 seconds. They actually give them depth with just stupid little things. And the first one is Walter Matthau, Coach. Geez, hopefully I can get his name right because they get it wrong in the whole.
They say it 2 or 3 different ways. Yeah.
Why can't I remember right now? Buttermaker.
Yeah.
Takes a beer out of his cooler as he pulls onto the field, dumps a little bit out, and you're like, "Hey, why are you wasting that beer?" He does it so he can pour some Jim Beam into his beer. So he's hiding hard alcohol in his beer that he's openly drinking. So he is. You find out relatively quick. I'm getting right into the movie. Did you guys want to talk about
that? Is that basically a Boilermaker? So is Buttermaker making a Boilermaker?
Well, Tatum O'Neal calls him Boilermaker the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he is. I think it's fine that we're talking about how we're introducing, because this movie just right out of the gate, it's this is our star. This is our guy.
And he's Coach Buttermaker. He cleans pools for a living. You find out pretty quickly that he's getting paid to coach a baseball team that nobody else wants, including the parents of said team. Speaking of a Boilermaker, I have one here. I figured
if
I'm going to talk about Buttermaker,
I want to see you pour that shot into the beer.
I can't do that.
Into the can of beer. I want you to do that.
I thought about doing that. I can't do that. But what I will do while one of you talks is I'll ask a question before we go farther into this.
Yeah.
Jason, I'll go with you first. How long have you known about Bad News Bears? Was this a baseball movie as a kid, or was this later in life?
This is definitely a movie I remember seeing a lot when I was a kid on TV. It has been quite a while since I've seen it. I've seen the remake in more recent proximity than I've seen this. I saw the remake when it came out in the theater, I think, but I haven't seen that since either. Maybe I watched the original shortly before I went to go see the remake again. That kind of tracks, but hell, the remake's over 15 years old now too, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, so the remake came out 29, 29 years after the original.
So 2006.
5, 6, something like that.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yep.
And it's getting close to being as old now as the original was to that. So, because it's 17 years now. By the way,
I don't remember it terribly well, the remake. I do remember that Billy Bob Thornton was inspired casting for the Buttermaker role.
The remake is good, but it is not as memorable as the original, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a fair remake.
I think what makes this movie, as good as Walter Matthau is, I think what makes this movie so memorable are the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every kid has a different personality.
Yeah.
So it's not just a bunch of brats. As much as Matthau has his own personality, we know Tanner.
Yeah.
So it's and Timmy Lupus. So it's they all have their own moments to shine as well. And oh my God, the big fat kid is the catcher. His early
Engelbert.
Scenes. Oh my God. It's like, would you just leave me alone with the chocolate?
He's like, my shrink told me that's why I'm so fat. That's another one of those lines that you're like, okay, there's depth to this character in one freaking line.
Right.
What about you, Jeff? Is this
so I had kind of mentioned before, I think, I don't remember if I mentioned it in the previous episode when we were talking about Field of Dreams, but the one that for some reason the Bad News Bears movie that I always remember the most is like the worst one, the one where they're playing in the Astrodome at the end.
Yeah,
but that was the one that was always on TV.
It was always on TV, and it seemed like every time I turned it on, they were already playing the game in the Astrodome.
Right.
I feel like that's the only fucking part of the movie I've seen. Yeah.
It's tracks. Because it's like I was even looking at the Wikipedia page for it, and it's like, okay, so there were some Houston Astros in the climax of the movie, and I'm like, so they were in the whole movie. Because that scene in the Astrodome is the whole movie.
It's the whole movie. That's all I remember.
But I don't
remember when they go to Japan at all. I don't remember
that one either. I don't remember that either. Now I will say that probably what actually helps me remember the one in the Astrodome so much more, and this is going to be a tiny bit of a tangent, and I apologize right out of the gate. But in 1987 or 8. So back when I was a little kid, there were 2 Avengers comics. There was West Coast Avengers and there was Avengers, and their annuals crossed over in 87 and 88. And in both instances, it would usually, or in one instance, the story started, they were playing a softball game between East Coast and West Coast Avengers in the Astrodome. And it just back then that movie was on TV all the time. Maybe that was inspired the annuals for those. I don't know, but I know that I always to me, indoor baseball is at the Astrodome always, forever and ever. Even today in Toronto, it's in the Astrodome. Yeah,
I almost joked that your tangent was going to be Avengers related.
Well, there it is. You would have been right.
That would have been accurate.
I would have given you $5 if you'd have said something.
Yeah. So the original Bad News Bears, this one that we're covering, I watched a lot as a kid, and I've seen many times, probably over the last 10 years. I think it's been a few years since I've seen this one, but it's one I revisit. It gets me in the mood for baseball, and it always will. More so than Field of Dreams or Bull Durham. Maybe not. The Natural is probably up there with it as far as my nostalgia for a baseball movie. But yeah, I love this movie. It's super fun. You can be a kid and watch it. I'm interested in seeing what TV edit we got after watching this again. I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot to this movie that I probably never saw when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
And some of it, unfortunately, was like commonplace words used
Sure.
back in the
Sure,
mid-late
but
70s.
they still wouldn't have been allowed on TV,
Yeah.
even when we were little.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I'm guessing there would have been some stuff that would have been edited around. I guarantee you the kids with the beer would have been on TV, probably. I don't think they would have cut that.
I remember
that.
that on TV.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, no, and to kind of answer your original question, yeah, Chuck, this was one that I had seen a few times when I was little, but for whatever reason, it's the Astrodome that I always remember.
And
Go ahead, Jason.
I'm also going to say that for whatever reason, I kind of grew up a little bit more with the Sandlot than I did this one. I was familiar with this for sure, but the Sandlot I've seen more. I would have been 14 when that came out, so it kind of fit. I might have been just the right age when that came out.
The Sandlot was
like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's not rated R. It's like a PG movie. But it's different, right? Because it's more of kind of a coming of age story.
Right.
And it's focused on one singular kid and his friends, right? It's a different kind of movie. But the baseball stuff is just fucking great, right?
Yeah.
And like the way that kids talk to each other and they tell stories and they embellish things and exaggerate and give each other shit. It's all there, right? But it's it's less cursing.
Yeah. The Sandlot to me always felt like kind of a baseball movie via Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Kind of with its
That's
tone.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
When did
it's a kid he's having a tough relationship with his stepdad, it's like yeah, for sure.
So,
it's a bit more of a movie. Whereas what makes I think Bad News Bears unique is most of this movie takes place on the baseball field.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less than a third is off the baseball field.
And a lot of the important moments take place in the dugout. So
Yes.
it's still, if you're counting that baseball field, probably.
Yeah. I'm talking about the whole complex. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because there are a couple of really, really important scenes, particularly around Amanda, that is off the field, but there's a reason for that because she's removed herself from that. So talking about the Sandlot's a movie that I think that was one of those ones. We kind of talked about this before, because that was 93 when that came out. I probably felt too old for it, and that's why I didn't gravitate towards it. Because in 93, I would have probably been more interested directly in Stand By Me as opposed to the lighter Sandlot version, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the Sandlot was similar for me. I think that's what I was trying to get at when I said I thought it was cute. I think I was just a little too old for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
14 would have been right for Jason.
Yeah. Coming back to it and viewing it through the lens of my children, when they started watching it, I gained a much bigger appreciation for it.
It's a funny movie. It is legitimately a funny movie. It's well made.
It has one of the most famous lines in movie history in it. So.
It's up there. It feels like, yeah. You're killing me,
Smalls.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the other option that I was going to throw out was the Sandlot, and I picked the Bad News Bears. I think because of
I think it was a good pick. I think it was a good pick, and I think if we do this again sometime, we have plenty more baseball movies to choose from, and Sandlot can make its way into the mix.
Oh, Sandlot and 8 Men Out didn't make the cut this time,
right? Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So. I really like Walter Matthau. Yeah. There is something about him that is you just laugh at the way he says some things or at the way he looks at something. You get that right out of the gate here too, because he's when he pours when he makes the Boilermaker in his car. And he goes to sip it. He's got such a goofy, derpy, he's excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
He's so excited he can't even pour the liquor into the bottle, or he's too drunk already.
or he's too drunk already. Later, when he passes out on the fucking mound, that killed me too.
Yeah,
He's just an insanely likable.
that was in his. That was during at the very end of his. I struck out Ted Williams montage, where the story just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
Yeah,
It's like catching the fish this big. From,
right.
from
Yeah,
Real
by the
Men.
end, it was like in Game 7 of the World Series, right? You know?
And the way that the kids react to him just face down in the middle of the baseball diamond is just, it's great. It's just like everybody acts like they are very real, like they all play, like they all had Little League together,
Right.
And Walter Matthau was their coach, and they hated the Yankees. You know, I mean, it's like they seem like they legitimately hated those kids. Of course, also, I mean,
they were the bullies.
Well, but the Bears are also, I mean, psychopaths, but or at least some of the team is.
Right.
But
Wait a minute.
What
did you? Walter Matthau's other name. It says other names. Walter Matuszkaszki. I think I pronounced that not right.
I mean, obviously you didn't.
Matuszkaszki.
He probably shortened his name for
Somebody
acting.
did.
I'm guessing.
That's nuts.
But he was born Walter John Matthau, spelled differently.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And they lengthened Ben Pizza's name to Ben Piazza.
Matthau created the rumors
He's Mike Piazza's
that his middle
uncle.
name was Foghorn and his last name was original. Okay, so it's a joke.
Okay.
Oh God.
He used it. He used it. This is funny. This is really funny. He used it as his credit in a cameo for his role in the film Earthquake.
That's amazing.
What a guy. That's funny.
I mean, if you're an Academy Award winner, did you want to be in Earthquake? I mean,
Oh my God.
you know, if you're not being paid the big bucks to be on, you know, above the title.
Funny. That's funny.
That's hilarious. So
I do want to say real quick that I thought about this, Jason. This is our second Jackie Earle Haley movie.
Our second? What was our first?
Watchmen.
Oh, yeah. 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 I think Jackie Earle Haley is the only actor that appeared in all three movies. Bad News Bears movies.
He is definitely in the Astrodome.
yeah. And he's like 28 by then, I think.
I'm surprised.
But he's still cruising for chicks at the arcade.
I'm surprised he's not in the remake. Maybe he had a cameo. I would think.
Oh, I would be very surprised if he didn't have a cameo in that.
I'll be honest, I never watched it because this movie is like one of those movies that I don't need to see a remake of it. I may be depriving myself.
For me, it was Richard Linklater. I mean, that's the
right.
book for me. I'll see anything he makes.
Yeah, and I like Billy Bob Thornton like quite a bit too, but I still
he was definitely still channeling Bad Santa in that role, which was pretty. I can never get enough of that. So
that's real good Billy Bob stuff when he's Bad Santa. So Bad News Bears, 1976 by Michael Ritchie. I'm a little disappointed I have not watched my copy of Smile yet because I made that connection today.
Oh, he directed Smile?
Yeah.
I watched that. It's good. Yeah.
I was like, I should have watched that because I saw his name and I was like, I think that's the same dude that did Smile.
That's a funny movie. That's a really funny movie. And it's got, similar kind of sensibilities. That's interesting. Huh.
It came out a year before Bad News Bears or a year after, one or the other.
Boy, Richie just must have had a bug up his ass about like competition. Yeah.
This is our second Michael Ritchie movie.
What was the other one?
Student Bodies.
Oh my goodness! I don't really remember that episode. I like blacked out during that episode.
You would.
I mean, he's directed lots of things. He did Cool Running. Oh no, he did the story for Cool Runnings.
Downhill Racer was his first movie.
Oh wow, that's classic. I've never seen it, but Another sports drama though.
Yep.
Baby.
So anyway,
yeah. Can we talk about Bad News Bears now?
yes,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
Let's go for it.
So Walter Matthau shows up drunk out of his mind, and he's been kind of duped for a paycheck to coach this team, and he has no real interest in it whatsoever. He tells all the kids to pick their position, which is kind of really funny. Like, what position do you want to play? And you get to learn about some of the kids. I forget the kid who, I wish I knew all their names. I should have written them down. One of them loves Hank Aaron, and he wants to be
Ahmad Abdul Rahim. He has one of my favorite lines later when he comes up the bat, and he's like, it's gonna go way out there, sucker. And then it's just this little dribbler.
He bunts.
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah, it was a fake out. It was so good.
Yeah.
Way out there, sucker.
But Bad News Bears, right? The term is kind of used by the coach to show how scary they are, but in reality, the name of the movie is like, this team is bad news. They're not good.
Right.
They're terrible.
They're all the kids who are not going to be able to play on other teams, because we also learned that so Vic Morrow is the coach of the Yankees, and it's kind of it's a little bit of a scenario of it's a little bit of the haves and the have-nots,
Right.
And so one of the have-nots just happens to be the son of a congressman or a local congressman, and so but the congressman is like, well, the kid really just wants to play, and I don't really want to play these other people's rules. There is seemingly a altruistic, like, my kid wants to play, he's not going to be allowed onto the field in these other teams because they're overly competitive. And so he basically muscles the little league into adding a 17th team, and which means that the Bears have to just take whatever's left over in the equipment shack,
Right.
which is not great. And he even points that out. And the woman who runs the equipment shack cracks me up too, Cleveland. But no, so yeah, that's and he's being hired in to coach this team because I think he cleans the congressman's pools or something or whatever. I don't know if he's a congressman. He might be like a no, he's a
like
councilman.
a lawyer.
He's a councilman, city councilman. And lawyer. Yeah. So basically he's like, he strong-armed the little league by suing them into allowing a 17th team to basically allow his son to actually play. So there is, I mean, in a way, even that is a little dicey as far as like ethics, but at the same time, he's not out there like a lot of the other parents yelling at their kids. He's out there just wanting his kid to get on the field.
Yep. Yeah, and he pays Matthau to do it, and he doesn't want anyone to know that he's paying him to do it, for obvious reasons, I guess. But yeah, it starts with these really terrible, kind of hilarious practices. The kids kicking the ball everywhere. They can't do a damn thing. They're just bad news. They're terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ball is dribbling towards them, and they cower from it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was coming right at me.
Right. and then he stopped. Like, he has to sit back and say, "Okay, let's go back to square one." It's like, this is a baseball, and the object of the game is.
After Engelberg throws the ball and breaks the window on his car after he'd been kind of picking on him, like, Walter Matthau is not a nice guy.
No, he isn't.
Right?
He's a drunk. I mean, he's a drunk and a loser. I mean, then he's kind of I don't want to say shady, but he has poor moral standing. We'll put it that way.
Right, and he proves again and again throughout the entirety of the movie that he's only in anything for himself, right? Like, he wants to win. He doesn't. If the kids win by proxy, that's cool. Like,
well, and he practically pushes over a little kid who just wants his company.
Yeah.
Near the end too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, he succumbs. He's very easy to succumb to chasing after glory that he once could have had.
Right. And he was a washed up baseball player who, to his own fame, struck out Ted Williams, I think, at Port St. Lucie in spring training. I think that part is true. Like Jason said, that story
very
grows.
First version of it or something. It was 0-0 in the top of the ninth or something. Yeah, I think that part was true. They probably ran out of pitchers or something. I don't know.
Yes,
but he struck him out, but the kids think it's cool, and they keep asking him to tell it again, and every time he tells the story, it's a little bit more fantastical.
And he's a lot more drunker.
And he's a lot more drunk.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's when he finally just passes out on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, that's a great scene because he's telling the largest version of the tale while he can't even throw the ball to home plate in reality.
And there's just empty beer cans all over the pitcher's mound too.
This man drinks a lot.
Oh man! They tell him that he's got to get a sponsor for the team, and he complains about that. It's like nobody told me.
Yeah, nobody told me I had to get uniforms or.
He's like, well, you're the manager. That's the manager's responsibility. So,
right.
All these kids, like the Yankees are sponsored by Denny's. There's other teams sponsored by Pizza Hut. The reveal on opening day. They show the Pizza Hut team and the Denny's team with their sponsors on the back, and then it shows the Bears and it's Chico's bail bonds, and it's so good.
And what's the slogan though? Let freedom ring, and it's got the Liberty Bell.
Yeah. And apparently, where they shot the movie, in somewhere in like the San Fernando Valley, that's a real bail bonds.
Oh
place.
My God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about
they were
that.
an actual sponsor.
I was thinking about that. It's like, obviously Denny's gets a lot of billboard time on the back of the kids that play for the Yankees, right? And yet they're the bad guys. It's like you would think that nowadays there would be companies who'd be like, we're not putting our name on the back of the bad guys.
Right. We're not going to be the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, we're Denny's. We're definitely don't want to be the bad guys here.
I want to play for Pizza Hut because you got a pizza party after.
Oh my God, every game, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Although I don't know, Matthau was taking them out for burgers and beers, though.
That's true.
I have so much.
Did you steal my burger?
I have so much nostalgia for those old Red Roof Pizza Huts that.
Oh, most definitely.
When their deep dish pizzas were actually freaking delicious.
Maybe they had the cocktail table, arcade machines.
Yep. You sit down to play Centipede and Pac-Man.
The best creamy Italian dressing I've ever had, which if I ate it now, I'd probably be like, this is disgusting. But man, it was so good when I was a kid.
I would go almost anywhere before I would go to Pizza Hut today. I would take the $5 Little Caesars many, many times over before a Pizza Hut.
I think we said this in a chat, and not to belabor it. The problem with Pizza Hut to me isn't the quality; it's the people that make it nowadays. Like I haven't had a well-made pizza from Pizza Hut. I like their sauce. I like almost everything about it, but it's always like wonky every time I get it.
Fair enough.
I have had it recently several times, actually. I've gone back twice.
Wow.
And while, yes, it's always a little wonky. They don't know how to cut a pizza. It's pretty good. The spicy
pepperoni,
like marinara pizza thing that they have. Yeah, but I think they discontinued it. I think it was limited time only. So it'd probably be a while before I get pizza again.
I live too close to Domino's. I'm sorry, but
I don't like Domino's. It's too salty.
It's perfect. It's great.
Not
as good as Donato's, but whatever. Anyway, so Chico's is.
Yeah, I have one more segue actually. There was a bondsman in San Diego, California, a real bondsman named King Stallman. Jason, do you remember his matchbooks from the liquor store, King Stallman? No,
it's not ringing a bell.
On the back of every matchbook, it said, "It's better to need me, or it's better to know me and not need me, than need me and not Know Me.
Know Me.
It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite Bondsman books ever.
We should also probably mention that a couple of times now, Kelly Leak has shown up.
Yes, he tore up the field on opening day.
Well, but Kelly Leak also showed up in the first minute of the movie too.
Yes,
and
he lit Walter Matthau's cigarette.
Right, and yeah, and it's like this little kid, little skinny kid, Beanpole, and he drives off on his little tiny Harley Davidson. That does say Harley Davidson on the side.
It is a Harley.
Yeah. And he comes back on opening day, and he likes to hang out at the baseball diamond because of all the players' sisters. He says it's got a lot of hot ass here.
Yeah. Nice.
He is
nice
constantly
buns.
hitting on a grown woman.
Yep. Tells her about his Harley Davidson.
Does that turn you on?
Does it turn you on? Yeah.
So, but anyway, he shows back up on opening day, and he just wants to fuck with the place. It's like he's but everybody knows him, and we find out later it's like, oh, there's a whole legend around Kelly Leak. He's a badass in a lot of ways.
He es un bendito.
Yes.
I don't know what he's saying, but he's a badass.
God, that cracked me up too. I don't know what he's saying, but he's a badass.
So yeah, opening day. Let's talk about that a little bit. This town has opening day like it's the major leagues. It's
oh my God,
wild.
yeah.
Like the marching band comes in, and
it's very clear that this is. You start to get the idea that these people make it look like they're putting on something special for the kids, but they really are. This is your first indication that they might be doing this for themselves more than for the kids, if that makes sense.
It not only makes sense, it's the giantest theme of this movie.
Right, yeah.
It's the truth. Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
But this is the first indication that this isn't just busybodies doing something good for kids. These are busybodies doing something for themselves. They, they feel better about this than the kids just want to fucking bat and throw the ball and play baseball. They don't, I mean, all of this pageantry is for the parents.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting too, because they do give you, so the coach of the White Sox or the Yankees is doing like the opening day proceedings at home plate when Kelly comes in and tears up the field. Well, he yells about him, get that kid out of here. You're going to have to get the bike out of here. He's all mad. But when he looks at Kelly, when he's getting put in the police car, he has kind of a sad look in his eyes. So all of the adults are kind of barely human for a lot of this movie, which is kind of makes the end a little bit more believable, which is great, I think. But they're really like, yeah. I had to say that. I don't know if I finished my thought there. Sorry.
I don't know what he's talking about, Jason, but Kelly Leak's a badass.
He is a badass. He's one of 2 or 3 heroes of mine in this movie. Kelly Leak, Tanner, and Tatum O'Neal wasn't a hero, but she was my favorite when I was a kid.
Fair enough. I could understand that when we were 12, 13. Yeah, sure. I could see that.
Yeah. So yeah, they get absolutely dismantled by the Yankees in the first inning. I think
it's 26-0. 26.
Yeah, that's the last count I saw was 26-0.
They never batted.
No, they never got to bat. And the coach of the Yankees is like, do yourself a favor and just Butterworth and just drop out. Just leave the because at first he tells because it's Vic Morrow, and Vic Morrow is always a good dick in a movie. Yeah.
He tells Walter Matthau, it's like, because he's like, Walter Matthau goes over and he's like, we got to call this off, man. We're getting murdered. This isn't good for my kids. I don't know if it's good for you. He's basically, it's like, this isn't good for any of the kids. Let's just end this game. And Vic Morrow, Roy Turner, by the way, Joey Turner, his kid, who's the pitcher of the Yankees, he's got a hot mom in this movie.
She's wearing the little crop top.
Oh my God. It's like, what? But anyway, so Vic Morrow is like, no, you don't do, it's like, well, you're just going to quit on them. You're going to teach the kids to be a quitter. And he's like, okay, no, this isn't just, Matthau's right. This is more demoralizing for them to continue to go through this, and for Vic Morrow and his team to continue to take pleasure from this than it would be for them just to say, you got us, we're done, we come back next time. But then after he finally quits, then Vic Morrow comes back to him. It's like, why don't you just do yourself a favor and get out of this league? Which is even worse than what he was trying. It almost seemed like Vic Morrow from the very beginning was saying, I want to beat you into the ground. And if you quit that's going to look bad on the kids. But then once he forfeited, he's like, just take the whole thing, take everything away from the kids. Because now I can't beat you into the ground anymore.
He doesn't want them there.
No, he doesn't.
Nobody wants them there.
Right. It's because, again, it's it's like you get the impression that Vic Morrow is he's the guy around town that, his kid gets everything. He's got everything. If you're in good with him, you're in good. And these are the outsiders. And,
well, you get the sense that this community is very much like, these are all the people that they go to dinner with and play cards with. Like, this is their social life, right?
Right.
Their whole social circle doesn't extend outside of the diamond.
Well, yeah. Nobody else had an Ahmad on their team either.
So he's the he's like the big fish in a small pond in this place. Yeah. He's hot shit. And just because
Walter Matthau
his stupid little league team is the best little league team.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But that's something he hangs on the mantle.
Well, it's social status. Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder when they started mercy rules in like little league. Because that
we never had mercy rules to the point where, like, if you could score like 6 or 9 runs in an inning.
Yeah, if you batted around. In my little league, if the other team batted around, that ended their half of the inning. No one could bat twice in an inning.
We had the rule in mine, I thought, was you could bat twice in an inning, but you couldn't score more than 6 runs or something like that. And then if you were ahead by 10 after like the 4th inning, it was called.
Yeah,
I'd say you're not likely to bat twice if you haven't scored more than 6 runs. I'm guessing. I don't know. I think you'd have to be close to that.
It'd be pretty hard not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could. Yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, because if you had 6 runs and you had bases loaded, the 10th person is at the plate.
Yeah. So
if there's no outs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah. So because of this destruction, Ahmad basically takes off all his clothes and goes up in a tree.
He's like, I'm out of here, man.
Yeah, he's shamed. He's very shamed by this whole thing. His brothers are great athletes and blah blah blah. And Walter Matthau, this is like his first moment of. It feels like his first moment of one of the kids breaking through to his better self. Right? He's like, he tells the kid a lie about Hank Aaron having 42 errors in a game, or like
his first season of Sandlot.
9-year-old.
He had 42 errors. Yeah, he wanted to quit.
Like, this is common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, and but also like this kid is, the kid is like a lot of us who's like, he wants to be Hank Aaron, and yet he can't do anything that approximates anything that Hank Aaron can do, and it's kind of hit him. In the reality is hit. He can't hit the ball. He can't catch the ball. He's every time he swung in the pitching in the batter's cage, he shut his eyes To which Walter Matthau had to tell him, was like, yeah, I think Hank Aaron, usually swings with his eyes open. So it's like the realism has hit the kid, and that's devastating for a little kid, because he thought this was just going to be easy to pick up, like a lot of kids think it is.
Well, it's also an indication that they're not being taught anything by the adults, because the thing that Butterworth is able to latch onto is just
we're just going to call them all the different names too.
Buttercream. It's one name he wasn't called in there. No. But he's able to tell him, hey, you're fast. Like the only thing he can tell him he's good at is something he hasn't been taught. Yeah. Right? Like if somebody teaches him how to hit, he could probably hit. If somebody teaches him how to field, he could probably field. But he's been let down by the adults in the world. Yeah. He's blaming it on himself almost. It's kind of sad.
It is.
It's a sad moment.
Well, all the kids, you're right. Because we talk about like the kid, the catcher, Engelberg. He's he's a big tubby kid, and he's constantly eating when he should be getting ready to catch a ball behind the plate. And he talks about how it's like, my shrink says the people keep on me. We talked about that already, or we mentioned it already. And it's like, so he's putting that on himself, but he's obviously got issues. Tanner will kill somebody someday.
I don't even know if he has parents.
I think he just appeared one day, and he just kind of came out of the ether from people's negative feelings. But it's like all of these kids have. You're right. They're all missing something in their life, and when we meet Amanda later, she's missing a father figure.
Right, and I mean, even the one father that's present in this movie, which is the congressman. He's only present so much as he's willing to pay. Yeah. For his child to do something, or sue for his child to do something. He has no interest in being involved in it.
Right. And while I did say that there is a smidgen, at least, of altruistic something there, you're right. He still is paying somebody else to do the thing.
Right.
And then you've got one kid who knows all the stats, who knows all of the mental stuff of baseball. He just needs a place to have he needs a place to feel like he's important, because he can spit out all this information that doesn't really mean anything when you're actually on the field, but it could mean something how you coach the team around him.
Right.
And then, when it comes to Kelly Leak, he needs a place where he just kind of fits in.
Right.
So it's like, everybody needs something. And the guy who has to figure out what he needs is Matthau. And he's got to go through some dark spots to get there.
Well, he conversely, and we'll talk about this more later, learns from the children instead of him teaching the children.
Exactly.
They teach him what he should do. He doesn't come to some realization, really.
Right.
Well, he kind of does, but it's all spurred by the kids. So after that game, Walter Matthau has a little bit more, or Buttermaker has a little bit more passion for coaching the team, and he's kind of serious about it. He gets in a suit. He goes down and visits the congressman or whatever he is again. The guy's like, nope. Yeah, the councilman. He's like, nope, we're quitting. We're done. This is embarrassing. I know I wanted the kids to play. I don't want them to be embarrassed, basically. And this fuels his fire even more to want to coach the kids, right? So he goes back to the dugout, and he has this wonderful speech. The kids had voted, and they all want to quit.
Well, one kid doesn't want to quit.
Tanner
does not want to quit.
Right. He was probably the lone vote that said, I'm not quitting.
Right.
But the spokesman, I think it's the councilman's kid who hands his uniform over, tells them what they're feeling, what's happened. And then Matthau has his speech, tells them, damn it, you're going to get on the fucking field and play.
Right. He starts throwing shit at him. Well, no, but also, we find out that, they went back to school on Monday, and Tanner fought the entire 7th grade.
Yep.
They were all getting made fun of. They were all, they just felt like shit, and this is only exacerbating. I mean, obviously these are not the popular kids already for various reasons. So that's only just just weighing on them even more. By the way, we never did mention that Timmy Lupus is the booger eating spaz.
He is a booger eating spaz. Poor Timmy Lupus. Lupus, as he's called often in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but anyway, so like you have these, so they just don't want. I mean, in a way, it's a little painful, really. I mean, because it's like, they just say, we just don't want any more that we already have to deal with. And, but that's when, Matthau realized, like, you know what, I'm going to whip him into shape. And he starts fucking railing on them. And then, but they get better a little bit,
Well, he also, like, the first part of the movie, he's just hitting balls at them and not giving them any instruction. He's just pelting them with balls basically over and over again.
Right.
Well, the next scene after this dugout speech, he's on the field with them.
Yeah.
Showing them what they're supposed to be. He's with them instead of against them. It's like,
well, because Engelberg is now hitting the ground balls out there, and he's out there showing them. It's like, no, you get down on your knee, and if it hits your body, you stop the ball.
Right.
Right.
He's showing them fundamentals of baseball, something these kids had never ever learned, unfortunately. Right. And they do get better. They lose their next game 18-0, which
but that's better.
They completed the entire game.
They went the whole game.
26 runs. It was a much better game for them, and they need to be told that. It needs reinforcement from the coach. Like, hey, we finished the game.
Yeah,
that's great. And then the kid, the brain, whose name I can't remember, is like, hey,
Ogilvy.
Two of our runners almost got on base, and we hit 17 foul balls.
Right. It's like you made contact. That's you can't bat unless you make contact.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It's like things are looking up for the Bad News Bears.
Yes.
But meanwhile, he wants to go find himself a couple of ringers.
Well, one at least.
Well, one for sure, because he already had told them long before we actually see her on the side of the road selling star maps to people, which she's not much far off from Buttermaker. She's just not a drunk, honestly. It's like she's selling people maps to the star homes for more than what her sign says because of inflation. But anyway, he talked about how he taught a little girl to throw a perfect curveball. And, and the team's like, what? How did you do that to a girl? And it's like, well, you can do that. You can do this sort of thing. So then we find out who that is. And that's Tatum O'Neal, Amanda Wurlitzer. Interestingly, I think right around the time that she was named Wurlitzer in a movie, I think right after she was in a movie called Nickelodeon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's just sitting on the side of the road, and she's selling the guy a map to the Stars homes. And
wait, what did you say about Nickelodeon?
She was in a movie called Nickelodeon right after she was in this movie where she was.
Oh yeah. Well, she had already won an Academy Award by the time she made this movie.
Yes, I know. I was just saying Wurlitzer and Nickelodeon. It's kind of a similar idea.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Anyway, word association, Jason.
Okay. All right. I'll allow it.
Okay. So, but anyway, yeah. So, what we don't, she's sitting, on the side of the road. She's wearing a dress. She's doing her business with selling stuff. It seems as though she is just a kind of whip smart kid. But what we realize, particularly what we realize the second time he goes back to her, is that she's in a very awkward age where she doesn't want to be a tomboy anymore, but she kind of can't avoid it. Like she's just a tough girl, and she's kind of struggling with the whole thing that she was kind of raised as a tomboy, that she was playing sports, that she, did that she kind of let Buttermaker, or she calls him Boilermaker. He kind of taught her all these kind of more boy type of stuff. but she has aspirations where she wants to become a model. Like she wants to raise all this money from selling these maps to the stars' homes in order to have ballet lessons, to get braces and become a model. And he said, well, why don't you come and play for the team, and I'll pay for your ballet lessons and I'll pay for the modeling stuff, but I can't pay for the braces stuff. That's big bucks. And she, and she eventually starts to soften to that. But there's
he has to go back and challenge her,
right?
Her ability to do it. That's what really turns her over,
right? Well, because she, like I was saying to Jason while you stepped away, it's like she's struggling with that tomboy image where she kind of can't avoid it, but at the same time wants to try to step away from that. She wants to be a girl, but at the same time she can do some things better than boys. And she's when he challenges her on that, that's when he wins her over finally. But there's a very interesting thing about her, because her character is oddly both very feminine and very boyish at the same time. It's a very interesting balance that character strikes throughout the movie.
Yeah, I hadn't much thought about that. She can just play ball.
She just is good. Yeah, but she also is always trying to. She's always trying to be more feminine than she is.
Yeah, she's trying to eschew her tomboy image.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it's very. It's very natural. It's a very weird thing that they would have. You would have almost expected most movies would have just dressed her like a boy.
Well, and not that this really matters, but she's attractive enough, and I don't know the right way to say this anymore, but Kelly wants to go on a date with her.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she's obviously like got something about her that he's attracted to.
Although I think Kelly would have gone out with anything, with any girl.
Yeah, but he's like polite to her too, though.
He is he is actually trying with her.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know if she doesn't show up in any of the other movies. Her Tatum O'Neal, I don't remember if there is a female pitcher in any of the other ones, honestly. But yeah, nothing really blossoms out of their relationship other than
although at one point she does defend him in a way that makes it seem like that they are a couple. When the team gets mad at him for doing everything, when Walter Matthau tells him to go out and catch all the balls and do everything for the team, and the team gets mad at him, she defends him as if they are a couple, and then they kind of shoot back at her. And so basically that's when Walter Matthau starts to lose his grip on the team, because these kids feel like it's like, well, we weren't good enough to win, but he went out and found better kids on the street. So what are we here for?
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are,
but really, I read that as her just understanding what Kelly is going through, because she's the best too. Yeah. So she's defending someone that's like her, rather than any relationship status. I don't know. You could read that into it. I don't think it's there personally, but
it could. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying too, though. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she eventually relents, as you were saying, and she comes and pitches for the team. And she, her curveball breaks 2.5 feet. She acts like a Major League Baseball pitcher. She has Vaseline on her hat.
I like how he's explaining that to one of the other kids. Yeah, it's right. Like, why is she doing the thing? It's like, oh, well, that's the spitball.
Yeah.
My favorite moment is when she throws her first pitch, and it's blazing fast. And the pitcher that they had been using, Rudy Stein, he's standing right next to Buttermaker, and he just looks at him, and he just gives him an approving nod, sticks out his hand, and gives him like the gentleman's handshake. He's like, Yes, sir. I see. This is good.
You've done good.
I approve. It's like he
It's
gave
pretty
his
great.
blessing. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that too. But they start to win games at this point, right? They win a couple, or they're getting closer to winning. And then at one of the practices, someone hits a ball over the left field wall or outside of the ball diamond, and Kelly throws it back in, and he's got a gun.
Yeah.
And Matthau's like, "Oh my God, who's that?" And they talk about the legend of Kelly Leak, and one of them's like, "Well, you know, he's an outcast or an outlaw, but he's also the best athlete.
He's the best athlete in town." Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't even make a distinction on children. They're like, he is the best athlete in town.
Well, we find out later he's the best at air hockey too.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. That certainly drives that point home that he's better than everyone.
Oh my God, the guy he beats, and he just throws the dollar across the table. Oh God, that killed me.
We could probably skip right to that. Like, the reason that they're there is Amanda has gone to best him in air hockey, kind of make a bet with him that, you know, if I win, you play ball with us. If you win, you name it. You name it. Yeah.
Right. You know where this is going. But the smash cut to her walking out dejected is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what he wanted was a date to the Rolling Stones concert. That's a great date.
Yeah. Yes. I know. I thought that too. I was like, dang. Don't be upset.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
To see the Rolling Stones in 1976. Are you kidding me? That's great.
I like Walter Matthau. I was like, well, what are you going to do if he tries, you know? She's like, oh, I can take care of it.
Yeah, I can take care of it.
I also like
and you believe it too.
He's like,
yep.
He's like, what 11-year-old goes on a date like that? she's like, I know girls who are on the pill. Where have you been?
Yeah.
He's like, don't you ever say that word again.
She's like the precocious child that isn't annoying somehow.
Right.
You know, most precocious children are super annoying, but she's not.
Tatum O'Neal.
She's just sassy.
When Tatum O'Neal was little, she literally acted like an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this and Paper Moon. I mean, she's a little tiny adult in this, and it's the way she reads her lines, and you can always tell when somebody's a good actor is they know how to use their hands. And if you actually watch her in some of those early scenes with Walter Matthau, where it's a little bit farther back and you can kind of see them fully, like she's using her hands, she's gesturing, and it's like, God damn, she's a good actress. She's a really good actress as a little kid. Most little kids are just saying they're just memorizing their lines. She's actually playing through them with gestures, and it's really good. No wonder she won an Oscar.
Yeah, she has hurt looks a few times in this movie that almost make me want to cry.
Yeah,
like the way she looks when she's upset. But Kelly starts showing up more to watch practice, and the coach of the Yankees has it out with him again, kicks him off the ball diamonds, like, take your
practically
damn bike and
throws him off the ball diamond.
Yeah. He's like, take your bike and get the hell out of here. And Kelly decides, well, they can't kick me out of here if I'm playing. So he comes back to the field and he says, some asshole changed my mind. And this is what fully turns the Bears season around, right? They have a pitcher that's already good. They have a baseball player that's already good. They just need the rest of the kids to catch up, right? And then they could be a great team and play in the Superdome someday. Who knows?
Maybe. I bet they will someday. I mean, the Superdome, the Astrodome, they might even play in the Kingdome someday.
Yeah, you never know.
All the domes.
Yep. Bunch of domers. So yeah, there's, the next proverbial montage of them winning some games and doing well, and Kelly hitting homers, and
you can also they lose games when Amanda's not pitching. Yes,
they do those. Yeah, she has to take some game's off, and you could tell she's being overworked. She's constantly got her elbow in ice, and
not just ice.
It's a bucket of beers.
Bucket of beer. Dude, when he says, I think I have an extra beer in there to make room, and there end up being 9, it fucking kills me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, there might be an extra beer in there, and there's 9 of them. So good.
Oh, I love the whole bit with the cups and making them wear the cups and they don't want to, and the whole thing with Tatum O'Neal is like, well, I'm not wearing it if she's not wearing it.
Yeah.
But then there's one little thing, like when what is his name, Ahmed?
Ahmed.
When he takes a ball to the junk.
Yeah.
What was it? And they're like carting him off the field, and there's a big commotion. Well, one of the women says in ADR, I think, it's like, just pray he's wearing his cup.
Yep.
That was Cleveland. Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland is played by Joyce Van Patten. Yeah, that's Dick Van Patten's sister, and she's insane too.
Yeah, she's funny. Her timing is really good.
Yeah. She would later end up playing the wife of Rob Schneider in Grown Ups.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the whole joke there. Isn't that funny? That she's old and he's not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never watched that movie.
Huh? Have I seen any? No.
No, have they? How many have they made?
I said, how many of those did they make too? They made like a bunch of those, didn't they?
2 or 3? I don't know. Too many.
Ugh. Yeah.
However many, too many. Amanda Wurlitzer. That is a cool name.
She is also Joyce Van Patten's half brother is Timothy Van Patten. If you're a Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan, you've seen a couple of his movies on Master Ninja with Lee Van Cleef, but he also was the one person who directed more episodes of The Sopranos than anybody else.
Huh.
He also executive produced the new Perry Mason.
Huh.
So, there you go. Timothy Van Patten did a shitty job acting, but he did a pretty good job producing.
Huh. Was it the Van Patten family that Joe Bob did that whole tree on? Or was that a different family?
It might be a Van Patten. There's a ton of Van Pattens. I mean, there's
that whole tree on
more
an
than 8
episode
is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a total tangent there. I just remember him.
Mystery Science Theater did a family tree for them too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
maybe. I know Joe Bob did one too, but I kind of remember a Van Patten family tree from somewhere. But yeah, she's really good in this. You almost feel like there's more of her on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
Because she's shot out of a cannon right at the start of this movie when he goes to go get the equipment from her. Yeah. And he's like, this is pretty rough. This stuff is in pretty rough conditions. It's like, well, it's only made for 16 teams, not 17. It's like, God damn,
just get what you get. Well, yeah, and she hates Kelly. She's always talking shit about him whenever, like when he gets arrested and when he runs into the wall. She's like, oh, I hate that kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's always saying something about him.
Do you think one thing I want to kind of go back to? You'd mentioned how Vic Morrow is like, kind of sad when he sees him get hauled off to jail or whatever. Do you think that Vic Morrow had that kind of reaction to Kelly because he has forever tried to get him on his team and he never could? And he just sees him as a wasted talent?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of it has something to do with him wanting him to be a ball player and
a tool for him,
a model citizen and but there's something about the adults in this movie, at least the main two, the protagonist. Well, they might both be antagonists in this movie, honestly.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly when you get around the third inning of the championship game, yes.
I think there's a bit of him wishing he was that good when he was that young, too. Like a lot, I don't know, a lot of that. But I think there is some compassion in the adults. Cleveland
also mentioned that she was glad that that Walter Matthau showed up at Pizza Hut, because until the season's over, they don't get along very well. So this was like their last chance for everybody to have community, basically. Right. So maybe he thinks of that kid as something else when it's not baseball season.
Yeah, very much could. Very much could. So yeah, they go through their little montage of winning and a few losses, and they end up coming in second place in the division. They have to beat the Athletics, which is bad news for the Athletics, right?
Yep.
A badass news for them, Mother Athletics, whatever Ahmad says.
Well, also, it's important that the Mets lost, too.
Yes, they had to lose.
Because that was when some of the boys are watching Tatum O'Neal do ballet practice, and then they come busting in to say that the Mets lost. And of course, they're interrupting this class. The kids don't care, but they're interrupting this class, and that's when Kelly looks at the one girl and it's like, "So I drive a Harley Davidson. Is that, you like Harley Davidsons? Does that turn you on?"
Yeah. And Tanner's saying you're doing a piss poor job of teaching them because nobody can dance in here.
Just screaming it at people.
Yep. Tanner's awesome. And we do have some moments where you start to see them gelling as a team, like some of the Yankees pour ketchup in Lupus's hat.
Yeah, that was shitty.
Yeah.
That was super shitty.
But Tanner goes to, no pun intended, goes to bat for him, and
he gets dumped in the trash, though.
Tanner, in his own mind, is like 15 feet tall.
He's got a little Napoleon complex.
Yeah.
Tanner took on the entire 7th grade.
He did do that. He only had one black eye.
Yeah.
So he did all right.
He did do all right. Closing the loop real quick, Chuck. Good recall. Joe Bob Briggs did the Timothy Van Patten genealogy tree in the class of 1984 episode of The Last Drive-In.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm glad I remembered that, because my memory is shit most of the time. Nice. Yeah, so, and Lupus is like very thankful. He's like, man, no one ever, stuck up for me. So they're starting to gel as a team. And just when they're starting to gel as a team, Coach Buttercream kind of betrays them. Not even kind of, he betrays them by telling Kelly, if the ball is near you, go and get it.
This is the most important game. We can't lose, basically.
Right. And you have to win the game for it. This is when he takes the two tools, Amanda and Kelly, and overutilizes and overvalues them. Mm-hmm. It's like, I will drive you two into the ground. I don't care what it does to you. We are going to win this game. This is him becoming that egomaniac. He's not thinking about the children, right? At all, in no respect whatsoever. And it's kind of sad. And that, I think this is when, Jason, you would probably say a lot of the sadness of the third act begins.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's definitely set up here. But it's that whole game with the Yankees.
Yeah.
That is just hard to watch. Both coaches just like berating these kids for just inning after inning, just berating them for every little mistake. It's pretty sad. Yeah. And I mean that's the point the movie's driving home, right? Is this like ultra competitiveness of these little league sports, of like children's sports, is out of control.
Well, I mean, you guys have played Little League, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, my dad was an ump for a reason, so he didn't have to sit in the crowd with those fuckers.
Right. Oh yeah, I mean, it's bad. It's still bad,
And
I yell at my kid during games.
Well, I never got any extra favors from Dad. He called the balls and strikes accurately.
Yeah,
so that's fair. I was not a great hitter.
And it's two egos at this point that are competing, and it's not about the kids at all.
Nope.
Yeah, they're just pawns in this like childish adult grudge match.
Yeah, and the kids on the Bears are kind of warning Butterman. Jesus, I can never get his name right.
Buttermaker.
Buttermaker.
That boiler
one of them's
like maybe fucked you up there, Chuck.
Yeah, maybe. One of the kids is like telling him, like, Amanda's going to throw her arm off if you don't get her out of there. He's like, I worry, I'll manage the team. He's telling kids to lean in and get hit, telling other kids to take balls.
Oh, and when
don't swing on the 3-0 pitch. He tells that little kid to shut up. I forget who it was. It's like, man, it's
and this time it's not funny.
Right.
It's not funny.
Right.
It's not funny.
The when
before when he was just curmudgeon-y and didn't care, it was funny. Now that he actually cares, and
it's not funny anymore.
It feels vindictive. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when he tells so he tells Rudy Stein to lean into a pitch to because they purposely walk Kelly because I mean Vic Morrow is not going to play a straight game. He's gonna pitch around the one guy he knows on that they're going to have a hard time with. Yeah. So they pitch around him. So he says, "Well, you know what? We'll just lean into a pitch. We need base runners because we need runs." And Rudy's like, "I don't really want to do it." It's like, just do it. Just do what I tell you. And then the second time when he comes up and Rudy looks at him, it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. It
hurts.
It hurts. And it's like, damn. It's like that. Yeah. It's like, stop being an asshole.
Yeah. And he doesn't realize he's hurting the kids until he sees another adult physically hurt a child. And this is kind of when he realizes it, because Engelbert and the pitcher for the Yankees have had a history throughout the entire year. And he had hit a ground rule double off him earlier to tie the game. Well, if he hits here, he can win the game or whatever, give him a lead or blah, blah, blah. But his dad comes out and he's like, just throw it low and away. Just throw it low and away. And he's like, well, Dad, I want to strike him out. And instead of taking the pitch like Ogilvy had done or Rudy had done earlier, he throws it over his head. He's like, the ball just got away from me. And then he walks him, right? He walks him?
No. No. He throws it at Engelberg's head. And then that's when Vic Morrow comes out. And it's like, why did you throw? I told you to throw it. And then when he said, I just got away from it, that's when he slapped him. And
he slaps him. He falls down. Yeah.
And then he picks on and he goes back and he tells his wife, it's like, he could have killed that kid. And it's like, well,
not even realizing his own damage.
What he had done. Right.
Yeah.
And so the kid gives, just throws a soft pitch to Engelberg and he hits it right back to him. And he just stands there with the ball and lets Engelberg go all the way around the bases.
Yeah.
While the rest of the team tries to wrestle the ball away from him.
And it's a really weird, like, polarizing kind of scene because it's played really up from the Bears side. Like, the music is swelling and they're all laughing and cheering. And then every time you see the other kids, it's, like, really devastating.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's hard to even emotionally get through that scene and understand what you're supposed to feel.
Well, yeah, because you're also, I mean, you're kind of poisoned by the whole moment anyway. Right. It's like everything is thrown off kilter because the funny guy is no longer funny. The guy you don't like just because he's a jerk. You don't like him because he slapped a kid now. You know, so everything is off kilter. And honestly, playing it up probably at least saves some levity at all.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, God, our guy Matthau throws beer in a kid's face. It's like, it's a lot.
Well, this is, I mean, now don't like. There's another thing though. Also, is that this is the next day after Amanda said, I invited my mom to the championship game, and then we're going to go to the drive-in afterwards after dinner, and we're all going to be happy. And she's looking at this like this could be family, and he's like, get out of here. What makes you think I want anything to do with you after the season? This is this is the next day from that.
Yeah.
You know, so he's already, he's already going down some, and he throws water at her at one point.
Beer.
No, it was beer.
It was beer in his,
and she's got beer all over her face and everything. And it's like, damn. And it's like, this is, so he's already like kind of given into the I will beat Roy Turner no matter what.
Well, I think he's also in that moment, he's got a self-fulfilling prophecy of self-destruction, right? Like he won't allow himself anything good, almost, you know, like I don't think his thing with Tatum O'Neal is really like motivated by just winning. I think he's got like some internal issues with even having family.
Well, and it could,
for sure. Yeah.
well, he could be just, I mean, it could also be he's tired of hearing how much there's lots of indication in their lines together that she expected him to be around longer than he was. And whether or not he and her mom didn't get along, or if he has issues, or if she's reading something into something that he didn't intend, you know, I mean, whatever, he's kind of buried by it now.
Yeah, I mean, he genuinely likes her. He genuinely cares for her, and then I
don't think he wants to be a dad for her, though.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, the thing is, he doesn't realize that he's been her dad all along. You know, I mean,
I don't think it has anything to do with her at all.
I don't think
whether
so
he
either,
wants to be her dad or not. It's just
it's
self-destructive.
Exactly. I mean, he's already an alcoholic. He's probably pretty self-destructive.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, but he has a realization here, and he decides that it doesn't matter if they win or lose anymore. He's going to take out 4 of their best players and put in the 4 remaining bench players. He's going to take Amanda out of the game because, you know, her arm is pretty much destroyed at this point. She's got a ragdoll arm.
Yeah, he swaps her out with Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah. Who can't pitch to save his life still, but they play as a team, right? Like Lupus makes a catch in the outfield to end the inning, which is actually pretty awesome.
He catches it over the wall.
Yeah, with his eyes closed, I'm pretty sure. But that moment for that kid is like everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's everything. And that's what baseball is supposed to be about. Right. And that is kind of like, for me, the climax of the movie is almost when Lupus catches that ball. It's the moment where you're like, okay, things are restored. The kids are playing ball. They're having fun, you know, blah, 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 blah. But they're down, what, 5 runs, 6 runs?
It's 7-3.
Yeah. Whatever amount of runs, 4 runs down, they need to get 5 to win. And Buttermaker's just like, get a helmet on, get out there and shut up and hit. Right. And that's when the shut up is fun again.
Right.
Right. It's funny again.
But yeah, because Ogilvy is like, I've never had it. You know, it's like I'm the second worst player in the league behind Lupus. It's like, or, you know, it's like, I've never hit the ball. And he's like, just shut up and go out there. Who cares? You know? And he walks.
Yes.
And then
he walks, and then somebody else walks.
Oh no! Yeah, he walks, and then one of the little Mexican
this is when my mom. Yeah,
and little Mexican kid comes up, and he's, you know, it's like Vic Morrow's. Now this is kind of funny too. It's like he's got a strike zone too. You just got to pitch it lower.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's so short that he has practically no strike zone. And then Ahmad comes out.
This one's going over the fence.
This one's going over the fence, sucker. and then the bases get loaded, and Kelly comes up, and
they're gonna walk him.
They're gonna walk him, and Matthau's like, what are you doing, Turner? You dummy! You gonna put the winning run on, or you gonna put the tying run on first? And you're gonna, you know, where are you gonna put the walk? You know, where you're giving up runs. Well, he just tells him to swing away. It's like, just swing for one of the intentional balls, and he does, and he drives it, and they score 3 of the runs, and he comes around for an inside the park home run, and
he's tagged out at home. Bears lose.
It's like Rocky. This is the Rocky of baseball movies.
It's a super subversive kind of
but the lesson is learned in the end, because they go back to the dugout after the game's over, and he's pulling out red stripes for all the kids.
Yeah. And the losers are happy and the winners are not, almost.
Well, yeah,
Like,
because the winners come over and they're all like solemn and they're carrying their stupid trophy and it's like, well, we want to apologize to you. We were hard on you. We didn't mean to be this way to you, but you're still not that good of a team. But we're sorry for being jerks or whatever. And then Tanner is like, take your apology and shove it up your ass.
Yep.
And then they spray beer on each other.
Yeah, Lupus throws the second place trophy at them too, I think.
Yeah, it's like, wait until next year. Wait until you see us next year.
I love that. Yeah, he does. He throws the trophy at them. So
yeah, and then they celebrate like they won something.
Yeah. And they kind of did. They won. They won. They had a good, fun game.
Yeah,
I mean, some of it wasn't very fun, but they had fun.
Yeah. That's just a good baseball movie, guys, I think. And it's often not even about baseball, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, and it's, but I mean, like, obviously this is this maybe one of the earliest movies where it really kind of looked at how competition is viewed from, like parents to their children?
Adults ruining what should be a fun game for kids.
Yeah.
I don't know any others back then.
I mean, in a sort of way, this movie kind of probably helped led to Slapshot.
Oh, I'm sure it led to a lot of even the Mighty Ducks and other.
But I mean, Slapshot not with kids, but with just a shitty team that just has, they have a spectacle to them and they somehow win.
Right.
But they're also all assholes. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can't, certainly by the time I know, I can't think of any specific situation, but I certainly do have vague memories of Little League parents being just awful to kids. Sometimes their own, or sometimes not their own kids, but a lot of times to their own kids.
Oh yeah,
it's just fuck, man. We're just out here having fun.
Some of the moms were the worst. You'd hear them screaming from the bleachers. It's crazy stuff. Yeah.
And it's like, I had fun playing, even when I wasn't a very good hitter. I was a good fielder, and I had a lot of fun. I had more fun playing defense than I did offense.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, fellas. I had a couple of questions. What position did you play, Jeff? What position did you pick when Coach Buttermaker asked you?
I was generally shortstop.
Shortstop, huh? I played 2B myself. We would have been the midfield. Jason?
I was also shortstop or third.
I played third a few times, yeah.
Yep.
And we kind of all played a little bit of everything. Like the base that I didn't play, the 3 places I didn't play hardly ever. I remember one game at first. I never played catcher, and I never played pitcher.
Yeah, catcher, you need to be catcher and pitcher, you need to be a certain kind of person, I think.
You need to be a little husky.
I honestly maybe played second once or twice, but I almost always played short or third. I was a pretty decent fielder, but what I was really good is I could throw. I could make that throw across the diamond.
I could too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I typically played on the left side of the diamond because almost all kids are right-handed batters when they're little. So it's I always played on the side that, yeah.
I actually would switch hit like Ahmad wanted to when I was a kid, but I was much better from the right side. And I usually batted cleanup, but all my home runs were inside the park because I was fast. I hit the ball too far.
I walked a ton. The first year, for whatever reason, we had to play T-ball. I don't remember exactly why. Maybe it was just the age group I was in when we played. But, that I did fun. But, when it was actually being pitched at me, I walked more than I struck out, but I only had 2 hits.
How many years did you play? I played a long time.
I only played 2 years.
I played 2 years also.
Gotcha. So who was your favorite athlete, Jeff, or baseball player when you were a kid?
Mike Schmidt.
I knew that. But I thought I'd ask you anyway. Jason, I think I know yours too.
You know mine. It was Don Mattingly.
I was going to say, it's Donnie
Yep.
Baseball. Yeah.
For sure.
Oddly
sure.
being,
I mean, there's no one that was even close. There's no close second. I mean, I didn't love a baseball player. I still haven't loved a baseball player like I love Don Mattingly. But the only one that came close was Derek Jeter.
yeah, so you've gotten 2 of my 3, but honestly, I think my favorite baseball player of all time, and this is really weird to say, was Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey, yeah. I mean, every kid loved Ken Griffey, right? If you love baseball. Yeah.
I like Ken Griffey too. My second favorite player was George Brett. I was all about the third baseman.
Yeah.
Fuck George Brett and his pine tar bullshit. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite things. I really liked awesome. Kirby Puckett. Really liked him.
Kirby was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked all those guys like Tony Gwynn and Kirby Puckett, like guys who made solid contact, had high average.
Ozzie Smith. I liked Ozzie Smith a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when I started playing shortstop, I kind of like really looked at Ozzie Smith with a lot of appreciation.
I want to see you flipping your way.
I was just about to say, how many backflips have you done on a
baseball? Yeah, I wish, right? He was awesome. Ozzie was awesome.
All right, last couple of questions, if you don't mind, before we close.
No, let's do this.
Bears. I know, Jeff, your favorite team is the Phillies, and Jason, your favorite team is the Yankees. I'll start with you, Jeff, on this one. Excluding the Phillies, well, I guess you could put them in there if you want. Who's going to play in the World Series this year?
God. Well, see, here's the problem in the National League. Do I have a minute here to kind of talk about
I don't know how long we've been on the air.
The conundrum of the National League. So, I mean, the Dodgers are probably still a high 90, 100 win team, probably. Yeah. I mean, the Dodgers are to us as the Yankees are to your league. So,
right.
So that's going to be a problem. Also, the NL East very likely could have 390 win teams, and you could lose that play-in game, the wild card game. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the Braves can repeat. I mean, hopefully it'll be the Phillies. But to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if it's just the Dodgers again. I mean, they're built to win every year. So
they have an opponent. You got an opponent
for the American League.
If you don't, that's no big deal. If you just think the Dodgers are going to win,
you know what? I never ever count out Tampa Bay.
All right, Tampa Bay Dodgers for Jeff. Jason, what about you? What do you think?
I'm gonna say the Phillies in the National League. I think if their pitching is better than last year,
we've given up late inning runs so far this year. So
they should at least. I think they'll be in the mix. I think they can do it this year. And then, as much as it pains me, I might have to go with the Blue Jays.
I could go for some 30-year revenge here and finally get back on the Blue Jays after
Joe Carter won't be there.
Oh my God, that broke my heart because I don't dislike the Blue Jays. That just broke my heart.
I think they're one of my teams. I got Blue Jays playing a New York team, but it's the Mets. But we'll see.
Mets are good.
Yeah, both of those are probably I think all of the teams we picked are more likely than the Yankees, except for maybe the Phillies. So we could be in for some heartbreak, but there are also two teams that could be really good.
I mean, the Phillies are going to score a lot of runs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I figured we should talk some real baseball during baseball month. So I wanted to ask this question.
What was you got any other baseball question? Like who's going to be the MVP?
I was going to ask that, but I didn't know if you wanted to do those ones. So for me, MVP, in the NL, I'm going to go Trey Turner.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good pick.
And in the AL, I'm going to go Vlad Jr. because I think if Toronto goes to the World Series, they'll probably win 100 games. So they'll be first seed, have the best player on that team.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I actually like. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be awesome if MV3 actually got his third MVP. But
He could do it.
He could, but he's a piece of a larger puzzle now.
Well, I think a lot of those players will eat themselves up as far as votes are concerned. But it's happened to the Yankees on a lot of occasions.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: if the Phillies go to the playoffs and they at least play in a series, not they don't have to go to the NLCS, but if they get to the divisional series, I'm going to be happy. Period. And I'll look forward to next year.
Yeah, us Yankees fans can't say that.
I know you can't, but considering the Athletics in Philadelphia has more appearances and more World Series championships than the Phillies have NL titles, you see, I don't have the same. I don't have the same requirements for my team.
Right. Jason, any picks before we say goodbye to baseball month until the next time?
No. Just go Yankees.
Go Yankees. All right. So
but not these Yankees. Go Bad News Bears.
Yeah. Brought to you by Denny's.
One time I root against the Yankees. Brought to you by Denny's. Moon's over my hammy. All right.
It is funny how, unlike a lot of baseball movies, the Yankees are the bad guys. It's pretty funny.
Well, they're treated that way in life.
Yeah.
Really. Them and the Cowboys. And Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame is more shit on than hated. Well,
yeah, I don't.
They're not really the bad guy in movies, though.
No.
Like the Yankees are almost always the bad guy team.
Well, they're David,
Yeah.
Or they're Goliath, rather. They're Goliath for our David to fight. So it's like, it's like the Cardinals, the Cardinals, the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. They need to be the bad guys.
Yeah, and I think the Yankees were even more revered then and kind of respected, even though they were used as a villain until George Steinbrenner took over and they started, air quotes, buying titles and shit. That's when they really became the evil empire, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, because back then, there were two series? Was there two in a row with the Dodgers and the Yankees in the late 70s?
I think so.
That's a big time series back then.
I'd like to see that again. That would be fun, but I don't know if that'll happen.
I mean, I don't, but but I understand. Yeah. That
would be good for baseball, I think, just in general. But
well, yeah, I mean, you want one of those two teams to be perennial contenders, I would think.
Right.
Whether you like it or not. I mean, personally, I don't want the Dodgers and Cardinals to ever be perennial favorites, but oh well.
Well, I'll say this in the conclusion of baseball month is that we picked 4 what I consider to be, and a lot of people probably consider, pretty good darn baseball movies.
These are pretty darn good.
That was a fun month. That was a fun month.
It was fun.
Maybe someday we will do a football month.
As long as we cover the replacements, I'm in.
Oh, I know. You want the replacements? I mean, we got North Dallas 40 in there. We got what else we got? We got a couple other ones in there.
There are a lot of good football movies. There are almost as many good football movies as there are baseball movies, I think.
Okay. Well, maybe down the line.
There are lots of good ones. There's lots of good ones.
All right. Well, should we talk about what's coming next week?
Yes.
Well, May is next week.
Ooh.
And we're starting things off kind of sexy.
Oh?
Yeah. A movie that kind of changed my life, and Jason was there for it.
Oh, God. This sounds dirty.
No, I mean, it was something. We went to a theater to see a different movie. It was sold out.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I've heard good things about this other movie. Let's just go and watch that instead. And I came out of that movie and I thought, that's the greatest movie I've ever fucking seen. Let's put it this way. This is a movie that made Ben Kingsley one of my favorite actors. And that movie is Sexy Beast.
Oh, yeah.
It has been a very long time since I've seen this, so I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Oh my
We
God.
all came out of there liking that movie a lot, but Jeff was just,
I was over the moon, man.
yeah, he really liked it.
I loved every fucking second of this movie. So, but no, it's a great cast. Hey, even got Ian McShane in there. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So Sexy Beast is next Wednesday. You can do that at filmseizure.com. Also at filmseizure.com on Monday. It's a new month. And that means I've got 5 Hammer horror classics.
Ooh.
And I kick things off with Curse of the Werewolf with our main man, Jason.
Main man?
Yeah, and Curse of the Werewolf. God, no. I'm
Sorry, I'm leaving you hanging.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm completely brain farting here. Hang on.
Our main man. It's just your main man.
Yeah, it's
Oliver
Reed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I couldn't think of his first name. It's like
I almost said
Reed,
Cameron Mitchell, but no, he's talking about Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed. Yeah. I tell a couple more
stories.
stories. I tell a couple more stories in that that we didn't talk about during the Brood. So
yeah, they're I mean, the tales of Oliver Reed you could probably fill a book the size of the Bible.
you can fill an Oliver Reed sized beer mug with the number of stories about Oliver Reed drinking. Those are gigantic mugs, by the way. Anyway, so that's so we've got Curse of the Werewolf that kicks things off for Hammer month on Monster Mondays. Both of those things, filmseizure.com. You can follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Film Seizure. You can also follow us on various podcast channels. Just come subscribe, listen to us. I think we do all right. We do all right. This Friday at my website, bmovieenema.com, I am doing an article on the movie Circle of Power from 1981.
Nice.
And if either of you know what that movie is, good on you. Actually, it's probably something that most people will have no idea what it is. So anyway, it's about corporate retreat training tactics and based on a true story of actual abuse. And it's pretty gross. So
sounds gross.
Yeah, it is kind of gross. Hypercapitalism's bad, guys. Anyway, so
I wonder if the movie The Circle from 2017 took some of its ideas and title from that.
Possibly. I mean, the book that Circle of Power is based on is like real life account, like the whole backstory to you just check out my article on Friday. So anyway, I get a little bit into the background of holiday magic and all of that played into these leadership dynamic institute and all of that. So anyway, it's gross. It's very gross. But anyway, so that is that's next that's coming up this Friday. So anyway, so be here next week for Sexy Beast. Should be good stuff. Should be a real fun chat. And until next time, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.